Hey guys, welcome back. So we're about to fix this problem. You can kind of tell here, I move back and forth. That's crooked. So we got this muffler shifted. This had moved on us previously. We got it pushed back, so we got our clearance where we need it. And we're gonna fix this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna whip out a tape measure and measure this and find out exactly how much it's off. I don't know what that number is yet because I haven't done it, but we're gonna find that out. We're gonna reach in here with a grinder. Unfortunately, that's got a decent amount of weld on it. Yeah, we gotta cut all that, but we're gonna cut it. We're gonna fix this. That's gonna drive me crazy. So we'll fix that, get that one going, go from there, bring you back. I got an update. So here's what we've done. I took this exhaust tip and I kind of looked at it and tried to say, where's the top? And I put a black mark right at the very top of the tip. And then I went to the bumper and I measured from here to this corner of the bumper, and I got that dimension, which is about 3.9 inches. And then I divided that by 2, so I get 1.95. And I tried to put a mark right in the middle here at 1.95. And then I just took the mark from the tip, carried it upwards, so you can see it's above that on the bumper. There's another mark. And then I took a caliper and measured the distance center to center between the two marks on the bumper. And I came up with about 0.39, 0.4, something like that. So then for a sanity check, does this look like it's off by 0.4 inches? Well, yeah, that's quite a bit. So it seems reasonable. And so I think that's pretty close. So now we're going to cut this off, and hopefully we just cut the welds and not the pipe. And once we've done that, we'll measure, take 0.4 inches off the pipe, tack it back on, and see if we got this right. Alright, so we got this exhaust pipe off, and I'll show you where we're at right now. So we needed to shorten this by around 0.39 inches. So what we did, we took a caliper, we set this up for 0.39 inches, we put it on the pipe, and we basically just drug it across the pipe. And that left us a little scratch mark, 0.39 inches from the edge. Well, the edge, you can see it's pretty dang straight. It wasn't perfect, but it's really close. But there was also some cut marks from cutting the welds, so it kind of messed it up in some spots. So what I did was, after I did the scratch mark, I took blue tape and wrapped that around, and I just kind of let the blue tape kind of keep it straight and average about 0.39 around. So that kind of gave me a straighter, hopefully a straighter line to go off of. And then once the tape was wrapped around, I just drug a Sharpie across. And now I would presume I can take the tape off and I'll have me a Sharpie mark where the left side will be a nice sharp edge at roughly the average desired dimension. So let's see if that's the case. Alright, here's our bend. So we cut, my saw doesn't cut perfectly straight, so what I did was I just cut it close and then used the grinder to get it down to about size. So you can see we kind of left the left edge of the line that we drew, just a little bit of it to show. And as I rotate the pipe, you should see a little sliver of that line everywhere. Just barely left it. There, it got kind of hot, it's hard to see, but yeah, there it is. Yeah. So that actually worked out pretty good, and you can see into the pipe is pretty straight just from marking it. That's pretty dang close. I'll rotate it a little bit as well. Check it this way. So yeah, pretty straight. So a little blue tape method, if you need to get a line around a pipe and get it square, it's a really good way to do it. So now we're just going to put the flapper wheel in, clean up those burrs, and test fit it again. Alright, we just got this done. Got it cut, deburred on the inside and outside. We used that little flapper wheel to finish the sanding after grinding. And you can see here we got it really square. This looks great. Rotate it up this way so you can see this one. Very square, so yeah, blue tape method, amazing. Here's the inside, really no burrs. A little bit of grinding marks. We actually used a Dremel on some of this, so normally I use this little deburr tool, but because we cut it with a grinder, there were some hot, I can't forget what you call that, but basically when you cut it with a grinder, it leaves this like slag, melted metal from cutting and grinding. And that stuff's really hard, and the little cutter didn't want to cut it, so I had to break out an abrasive on the Dremel, get in there and knock that burr off. But yeah, this is looking good, so about to start mucking this back up on the car. Alright, so we got this thing's in position. So we're going to document the clearances everywhere before we weld this. You can see we got plenty of clearance there. Roll the camera in by the diff. We got clearance there. Here's our exhaust tip after a lot of work. This is really straight, so let me zoom in. Yep. There we go. See there? Really even. If we come to the side, so you can kind of see these shelves as a reference for what's level. So we're level in this direction as well. Alright. And then to hold it this time, I actually used some clamps. So you can see that one. Clamp to the subframe, and the little tail hanging out is catching that pipe. Same thing on this one. I just clamp to the other tube. Use that for support, and then we got this little jack stand to catch it here. And then there is what we got to weld. So hopefully we can get in here and TIG weld this. Room's going to be tight. You can see we got this handle right in the way, but we're going to try to reach in there and TIG that. Alright, good news. We got this tack welded and it's now in the right spot. So I figured out what happened. Let me tell you guys. So this way you guys don't make the same mistake I made. So you saw what we had previously holding this. We had it well supported. We had it lined up in every direction you could think of. It was exactly where I wanted it. And I reached in and I put this is a weld right there, but I just tacked it right there. Just a little tack, because this was about the only spot I could easily get to. So I tack weld this spot, and then I stopped. And I said, well, let's just make sure everything looks good. And I look, and the tip had moved to the left. It was crooked, it was over here. And when you think about it, that kind of makes sense. The weld cools and it contracts. So it might pull that spot in a tiny bit, but here's the thing, this is like a big lever arm. So even if it moves just a few thousandths there, it might move, you know, many times that over here. So I think that's what was happening on me. So I was like, okay, it's just a tack. I bent it back straight, and I was like, okay, cool. Then I decided to come over here, and I welded the bottom. That way it wouldn't, now that it was in the right spot, I figured I'd throw a bead here, and I'd be good. So I welded this. And, yeah, sorry, that doesn't look super beautiful, but it's overhead. So I weld this, and then I was like, all right, let's just make sure it didn't move. So I check it again. It had moved again. It was crooked again. I couldn't believe it. It moved a lot. I was like, all right. So I bent it back again. It was a lot harder to bend because there's a weld on the bottom. So at this point, I was like, all right, I got a tack on the side, a big weld on the bottom. We're done with this thing moving around. So then I came over here, and I actually put this bead you see here, so I welded that. And I was getting ready to weld some more, and I was like, let me check again. So I come back again, and it had moved again. It had pulled into the inside. So yet again, I'm taking this thing apart, or not taking it apart, but trying to bend it. And it was really difficult to bend. I couldn't quite, it was actually hard to do. So I tried, had to pull about as hard as I could to get this thing to move. So I did that, got it straight again, and it actually wasn't quite all the way there, but it was really close. So I got it as close as I could, and then I decided to do the opposite side that was 180 from that, which would be at the front of the car. And the hope was that when I welded that bead, as it contracts, it would pull it back straight. And that's pretty much what happened. So here's a nice zoomed in shot. This is, you know, I stood back and then zoomed the camera. And you can see this is really close. And we're looking at it, you know, with the perspective from here, zoomed way in. You know, it kind of looks a little crooked depending if you look at it crooked, it looks crooked. But if you get on it straight, it does look straight. So, good news. This is plenty good enough. I mean, this is, yeah, look at it from when you zoom out. Looks great. So at this point we have a weld on the bottom, on the back, and on the front. So it really shouldn't move anywhere now. Yeah, there's our front weld. So whenever I fully weld this out, I'm going to be extra careful. I'm going to like tack it here, do a 180, tack it there, you know, work my way around, try not to heat any one spot up a lot to minimize distortion due to heat, since I now know how sensitive the placement of this tip is relative to that pipe. And I have to say, I think I learned something, which is whenever you're trying to do an exhaust tip, do not do what I just did where you're welding to the muffler. You want to weld that pipe to the muffler and get it out to here, and then weld this section and then that section. So that way when it moves, it only moves the tip a little. When it's way over there, you've got that lever arm effect. So it kind of amplifies any distortion due to heat, which really throws off the placement. So good tip for you guys. I will keep that in mind when I do the driver's side exhaust exit. So that's where we're at right now. Thank God we got this in the right spot. I like how it looks. This is going to look sweet when I get both of them on there. Alright, so we're about to knock off for the night. I figured I'd show you where we're at. So got that pipe on the right all welded, or tack welded good enough. We'll weld it out later. We went ahead and trimmed this hanger. We had bent this up a while back. So we just cut that bottom there. Maybe throw a couple extra welds on that. It's got 3 like this on each side. Probably good enough. And we got this pipe. This is just roughly in position. So it's not perfect, but that's, you know, roughly where it goes. We got it sitting on a stand with a clamp to kind of hold it in place and clamp the stand so it wouldn't spin around. And you can kind of see we're close. This doesn't line up exactly. It kind of looks like it does, but this angle here is off. So yeah, you get a better view of it there. You can tell that's off. So we're gonna have to cut another bend or two. These are, so you can see they're off in that direction. They're also off in this direction. So you can see we got that pipe kicked up to try to head up that direction. So we're probably looking at 1 to 2 more bends and probably a short straight section. Hopefully that's about all it takes. But like we kind of learned from earlier, once we get this mocked up roughly where it goes, we're going to start welding from the muffler to the tip. So the last piece we weld will be the tip. And we'll go from there. We may, depending how this goes, I could wait until I get, say, that last piece and then take all this and do the final weld. But I don't know if I'll do that. I think if I get these tacked kind of like this, where you got tacks at least on, you know, say at 0, 90, and 180, then when you take it off the car, just be very careful and start putting tacks down first. I think that'll prevent it from moving very much. So maybe you'll see me in a future video tell you not to do that, but I think that's what we're going to try. I think that'll work. So yeah, this is where we're at, and see you guys next time. Take it easy.